Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here. Hard to believe, huh? Back from a bit of a holiday break and back with another episode of timeless pop, rock, and soul. Call your next door neighbors, call your grandma, tell her he's back on the air with some more timeless pop. And today we are going to hear from one of my all time favorite female vocalists. And speaking of favorite female vocalists, this video today, this next song that we're going to do here in just a minute, the first of four in a row, man. Let's talk about four of my favorite female vocalists. How about that? That's what we are going to do in these next four videos spread over the course of the next couple days. And we are going to start back in 1996. And I always talk about iconic album covers and memorable album covers, iconic photographs. This is one that when I pulled up the album cover artwork, I went, oh my God, that's right. I had forgotten about this album artwork. If this isn't one of the most iconic shots ever, I don't know what is. This, of course, is the great Tina Turner, and this is 1996. The album is called Wildest Dreams. This was Tina's ninth solo album, and look at that woman glow. Oh my God, can I just be the first to say, damn, Tina. And if I'm not mistaken, I looked up the calendar here. If I'm not mistaken, Tina was in her mid-50s when they did this album with her in 1996. And she is just looking incredible in that cover photograph for the album, Wildest Dreams. And we are going to hear this little number right here, one of my favorites from her. Great song written by her longtime songwriting team, her preferred songwriting team of Terry Britten and Graham Lyle. This is a song called Something Beautiful Remains. But I cannot stop thinking about this album cover. God, what a cool cover. And what a just a legendary picture of the great Tina Turner there from 1996. Now, as I related the story in the previous video that I did for Tina, I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I told the story of how, of course, I always knew about Tina Turner. You can go all the way back there to the 60s. Ike and Tina Turner, River Deep, Mountain High was such a huge hit, such a classic pop song. Proud Mary was in 1971. Nutbush City Limits in 1973. I mean, just three iconic hit songs right there with the Ike and Tina Turner Review back there in the day, back in the 60s and 70s. And of course, I knew about Tina back there in the old days, but my real personal connection with Tina Turner really came, as I mentioned in that previous video, when she covered Al Green's classic R&B tune, Let's Stay Together, and that was in 1983. And then, of course, she followed that, Let's Stay Together, just an outstanding remake. And the video is back there on the channel, and I will post the link as well on this video so you can go back and catch up with my previous reaction for Tina. But, of course, she followed up her great remake of Let's Stay Together with the Private Dancer album. And look out, it was straight into the what do you call it, the outer atmosphere there, the out into the universe for Tina Turner. That is when she just blew up. And that was just shortly after there, as I gained that really great personal connection, because I just loved that remake that she did of the Al Green tune. And then I got to see her in concert, and then the triple whammy with that great Private Dancer album coming out. And of course, so many legendary hit songs, iconic songs, not only for Tina, but just in the pop scene there in the 80s. What's Love Got to Do with It? Of course, just a classic song. What a monster tune that was. The title track, Private Dancer, there's an epic Tina Turner tune. Better Be Good to Me. What a great album that was, Private Dancer. And then it was off and flying for Tina Turner in her comeback there. And as I said, I mean, she's in her 40s and 50s at that point, but just putting out some of the best music of the era. And I have always loved Tina ever since then. And as we get up to 1996 and this album, of course, I was already a huge fan by then. She had done so much great stuff there in the 80s and into the early 90s. The Best and Steamy Windows. I Don't Want to Fight. That was another favorite of mine from that later era of Tina. But when she got up to 1996 and released this album, Wildest Dreams, man, she got my attention in a big way all over again with this song. And as I said, written by Terry Britten and Graham Lyle, her longtime preferred songwriting team there. They've done so many of those great songs that I mentioned earlier for her. But this one is just all about Tina's vocal performance to me. And I was thinking as I was out on my walk this morning and thinking about Tina Turner, you know, you go back there to the old days with Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight and Chaka Khan. I mean, some of the great R&B and soul divas of back in the day. How can you not put the great Tina Turner into the upper echelon there of the R&B and soul divas of all time? Just such a great performer, such a dynamic performer. So many of the wannabe, and I mean wannabe artists here of the last 20 or 30 years trying to mimic the Tina Turner vibe. And guess what? Nobody has ever been able to do it. Nobody has ever been able to sing and dance and move on stage like Tina could and just completely captivate a crowd with her stage presence, but also with that voice. And that is what I appreciate so much about this record from 1996, Something Beautiful Remains. You know, this is Tina as an older and wiser and more mature soul, and that voice older and wiser and more mature as well. And the amazing thing about Tina, she just I always talk about that ability of a singer to connect the lyrics to their voice and to their heart and their soul, and to just channel that pure emotion through their voice as they interpret those lyrics. And Tina certainly does it, as you are going to hear in this song. I'll post the lyrics as well, because I think the lyrics for this song are just so beautiful. And of course, Tina just it has a way of living, what I would call living inside a song, going inside a lyric, and you truly believe that she's singing about her own life and her own experiences. And as we all know, Tina has had quite a life and quite a perspective to sing from as an individual and certainly as an artist. So let's hear it. It is the great Tina Turner, man. I just love the shots are so iconic of her. Here's another one. Look at this one. For Something Beautiful Remains. What a just a legendary figure, the great Tina Turner. 1996, the Wildest Dreams album. There's a CD worth owning. It is Something Beautiful Remains. Check out these lyrics and check out the way Tina just gets right inside this great lyric. Love it.
Tears will leave no stain. Time will ease the pain.
She's lived it.
For every light that fades, something beautiful remains. We are living in a world of stars and dust, between heaven and all that surrounds us. We're travelers here, spirits rising through, and the love we give is all that we'll endure. Hey now, what we had is gone, but I still remember you, just like the rose after the rain. Something beautiful remains.
Such a laid back and bittersweet and sort of melancholy musical track, but then those lyrics seem to be almost coming from a little bit of a higher perspective there, right? I remember hearing this back there in the day and having to sort of think about those lyrics a little bit and how relationships can change and come and go. And seems like not a bad perspective at all, sort of a spiritual perspective, excuse me, if you can find a way to look at things and see that something beautiful does indeed remain. And man, speaking of something beautiful remaining, what can we say about Tina Turner across the decades, going all the way back there, the old days with the Ike and Tina Turner review, and she is just shaking and shimmying and burning up the stage. And then just growing and changing and evolving as a person and as an artist. That incredible comeback in the 80s where she doesn't just come back, but she like plants the flag there. I mean, that Private Dancer album, I was looking at some of the stuff on that Private Dancer album. I mean, that was Tina just throwing down the gauntlet there and really establishing herself as quite a major force there in the pop R&B female vocal scene. And then just to see the way she sort of matured and changed into even her later years, as I said here on this one, hard to believe she's in her mid-50s singing this and just sounds like $1,000,000, looks incredible, still oozing all of that soul and all of that charisma, just like always, but doing it in such a low-key and sort of understated way. And that just got me even more. How could you not love and respect the great Tina Turner? Certainly not the last time we will be hearing from Tina. She's still got so many more songs that I just absolutely love and will love to play and talk about as we go forward on the channel. What an icon, man. That is a photograph of a stone cold icon right there. And let us never forget the great Tina Turner when we come to talk about the great female vocalists and the divas here of these last 40, 50 years on the music scene. Put some respect on Tina Turner's name. And she's not the only one because, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do 4 in a row. 4 of my favorite female vocalists. Wanted to start it off with Tina Turner because it had been a while since I did that first reaction for her for Let's Stay Together. And so I wanted to jump back into some Tina here and sort of get this new vibe going here. And we're going to hear from 3 more still to come. And then after that, man, if I got a treat for you guys here later in the week, over the weekend, next weekend. Wait till you see what I'm cooking up. For next weekend, we are going to dive back into the 70s in a huge way. So that is going to be a blast for me because that is my wheelhouse. And I know you guys love so much of that old classic stuff from the 70s. And we're going to go way deep on that. But before we do that, we're going to work our way through some of the great female vocalists, some of my favorite female singers here of the last... What? Well, how going back far? Well, we're going to go back into the 90s and the early 2000s. So you'll see. But I guarantee you're going to love them. 3 great ones coming up. And I already know you guys like these artists. So I will see you there. Tina Turner. Put some respect on Tina's name. Tina, live long and prosper. One of the greats. See you in the next one. Happy holidays.